Are you looking to up your real estate investing game? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sub 2 Deals Show with your host, Sub 2 expert William Tingle.
Hey, Sub-Tours. My name is William Tingle of Sub2Deals.com. I would like to welcome you to this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Occasionally, we'll cover other real estate topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. Today is another episode in our Real Investor series, where we feature real investors sharing real stories and real deals. These guys are investors doing deals all across the country. There are no boot camps or courses they have to sell you, just real tips and strategies and the things that are working today in their businesses and in their markets. They share them all, and these things can work for you too. So pay attention and take lots of notes. My guest today is Lolita Sheriow. Lolita is a real estate investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and she's been investing for 13 years and has been full-time for that full 13 years. She jumped right in and got started right away. Lolita does a wide range of investing from wholesale flips, remote deals. She buys sub-2, sells with owner financing, flips to other investors. I mean, she really covers all the bases. Lo, welcome to the Sub-2 Deal Show.
Well, hello there, William. Thank you so much for having me. I'm extremely excited to be here today.
Me too. I've known Lo for years. She's an excellent investor. She does a lot of teaching herself. So I'm really looking forward to the show today. Lo, tell us a little bit about your background, what you did before real estate, a little about where you're from, and about your family.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm originally from a small East Texas town called Henderson. It's known as like the Piney Woods of East Texas. And that's about 3 hours from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I currently live in Fort Worth, Texas, have been for the last 14 years now. Before I was in the military, I was an Army reservist, went in training straight out of high school. Let's see what else. I was a professional gospel singer for several years, and that was really cool and a fun time in my life. I learned a lot about self-promoting. So this was way before YouTube, before, you can just sing and, throw a video on YouTube and get discovered. So it was way before then. But we traveled a lot. We did a lot of road trips to different churches and different venues, and even traveled overseas and performed. I was on Showtime at the Apollo and performed with the group I was in then when Steve Harvey was a host. So that was pretty cool. And I've worked at different various type of jobs. So my last job before I became an entrepreneur was at Countrywide. So I started in the loan modification department, which is very interesting. With the times we're in now, we helped homeowners that were behind on their mortgage payments or needed assistance, whether it was forbearance, loan modifications, short sales. So that is my background. But I started, researching and learning more about real estate investing from a mentor of mine. That was then, he's retired now, but it was commercial real estate investor. And he kind of threw in and shared different things with me. And man, I just took it and ran with it. I was interested, and he was like, well, you ought to try, get into single family. So I started researching and learning, staying up late, Googling, YouTubing, going to local real estate investing meetings. And this was while I was still working at Countrywide, and just started learning and getting involved. When 2007 is when Countrywide, they pretty much closed down our department. And at this time, I think I'd been about six months or so in, as far as just really researching and learning how to wholesale and subject to. Mm-hmm. And I did my first subject to deal. I sold it to an investor that lived out of state. And I never met the investor, never met the buyer, never saw the house. We put the deal together, and he PayPal'd me $2,500 assignment fee for it. At that point in time, I was hooked. So I
Hmm.
said, okay. And once I was laid off from Countrywide, I decided to jump in with both feet. And I haven't looked back since.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
It's interesting how when you actually get a payday,
yeah,
uh, you get hooked.
yeah. It's a game changer. Yeah, it's a game changer. You're exactly right.
That's right. Uh, I know. I read when I was reading your background and everything. I didn't know you were a professional gospel singer. That's great.
Yeah, well, man, my family is a family. I come from a family of singers.
Hmm.
And it's one of those stories where, in the church choir as a little girl and sang my first solo. I might have been 5 or 6, and just continued to sing, as a young girl and growing up in school. That's what we did. That's what our family did. And I did it professionally for a little while. And it was so much fun. I enjoy it. That's something that I will do if I'm fortunate enough to continue to live and get older. And once we kind of start really settling down and doing more things that we want to do, I probably will be jamming out with a band of some sort here and there. So I used to do that, a few years ago, but it's been a while.
Hmm.
But it's a
Well,
passion.
well, that's really what it's all about. And I know what most of the investors that I know are in the business for. It's the income it generates to allow you to do what you really want to do.
Yes, absolutely.
So you work with Countrywide. I'm guessing it may be loss mitigation in that department or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's where I started. And
Hmm.
that's my background.
Hmm.
And I
Right.
transferred over to what was called full spectrum lending. So they were
Hmm.
another division of Countrywide that dealt with refinancing loans and creating new loans, for buyers.
Right.
So I transferred over there and I was a manager or supervisor for a while, and I had a small team. And then, like I said, they closed one day. They said, "Hey guys, we're closing down the department." And I
Right.
said, "Okay." I said, "I am finna, you know, bet on me." And that's
Right.
what I did. I
Yeah.
haven't looked back, and I haven't worked at corporate America since.
Right. And you said your first deal was a sub two. You never saw the house. You never saw the investor. So you were doing remote stuff before it was cool.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what's interesting? I'm glad you pointed that out because, where we live, we bought our house, it's a little bit on the outskirts of Fort Worth. And, when I started learning, I was saying driving for dollars and all that. And our subdivision wasn't even finished, built out. We were part of phase one back then. And to go anywhere, whether it's Walmart to, stores or even another, community neighborhood, I would have to drive at least 15, 20 minutes. And that got old.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So I said, you know what, let me get online and start really educating myself on leveraging social media and
Mhm.
videos on how to market myself and how to market our business. So you're right. I've been doing that for a while, 10
Yeah.
plus
Well,
years.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. I didn't do my first remote deal until like 2010. So
Oh,
I'd been investing for over 10 years before I was brave enough, and it was through necessity for me because I moved
yeah,
out of the country. I didn't have any options. If I wanted to continue to invest in real estate, I had to learn to do it remote.
yeah,
Yeah.
got you.
So 13 years in, tell us about your business model. I mean, I know just from your background that you don't have anything specific, but certainly you probably have some preferences in what you do. So tell us a little bit about uh, your model, the things that you do, and maybe what your favorite thing to do is.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we do have a full service real estate company that focuses a lot on wholesaling. That's where I started, wholesaling and subject to. So I would categorize those two as if you want to kind of put me in a little bit of an expert category, I would fall there. Um, But we also have a whole traditional and retail component with my business partner.
Mhm.
Carla's a licensed realtor. I'm not licensed, but she's licensed. And she's been, helping families that, want to sell traditionally listings, also working with buyers, first-time home buyers. So we also have that component to our business, but we've done, a ton of wholesaling, subject twos, buy and holds, buy, fix, and flip, which I'm really not a flipper. I know that
Mhm.
it's for some people, it's not for some people. That's not necessarily my favorite. I know you can make a lot of money from doing it, but it's just not my thing. But we've done those deals. Um, and I also teach. So, and I, have my YouTube channel, have my podcast, and I do some affiliate marketing.
Mhm.
So, there's a, we're pretty full service with an educational component, if you will,
Mhm.
of helping folks, and also, training and teaching others as well.
Right. Now, you mentioned Carla, and she handles the retail side there. So, is she pretty much focused in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as well with the retail or the sort of agent traditional sell um, side, helping buyers and sellers?
Sure. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, no. So we, also have other markets that we focus on with her. And the brokerage that she's a part of and has a partnership with or ownership in is EXP Realty. And they give you, well, it's the first cloud-based brokerage that's out there. And I'm so glad that we switched, we got her switched from the fee-based brokerage that she was a part of to EXP about 2 years ago, because EXP model is perfect for what we're dealing with now.
Mhm.
When it comes to the whole, I don't know if it's a time sensitive interview, but we have the pandemic that's going on. We have people that are quarantined. We're all quarantined. We're stuck in the house. And a lot of people can't really, it stumps them from doing business, especially if they don't understand or know how to use technology to keep doing business and keep
Right.
getting deals done. But with this particular brokerage, we've been able to partner and work with other agents in other states, in other markets, and build a team of agents, other agents that are here locally and abroad that we can work with and partner with. So that has been extremely, that's been a huge advantage for us.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I know, we're not time sensitive as far as now, this is being recorded during the COVID-19 quarantines and that sort of thing. But, I think that's still relevant because just what we're going through right now is going to, in my belief, drastically change the way that a lot of people do business. If for no other reason, then they're going to find it's a lot more convenient to do stuff online and deal with people in that way as opposed to actually getting out and going and looking at stuff and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And that's why we actually modified our business. We've been working aggressively over the last, 3 to 4 weeks and made a few changes. One of the things we did was turn one of our Facebook groups, we renamed it, we call it the Virtual Entrepreneurs Mastermind. And it's a place for real estate, not only real estate professionals, but entrepreneurs to learn and to share how to brand themselves online and create an unforgettable presence online, and to be able to learn how to leverage technology and learn to do deals, virtually and remotely. So that is the purpose of that. And we're going to, we're starting to teach more of how to do that because, like you said, things have changed. I mean, we've had sellers that told us, nope, don't come to the house, mail me the contract or email me, the contract or the listing agreement. You got people that don't want people coming to their house right now because they're fearful.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get, the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So what we do is, we help them and walk them through how to do a video walkthrough of their home themselves and
Right.
send it to us. So there are things that we put in place to help make it more convenient for sellers and buyers to work with us virtually and, and remotely.
Right. And like I said, I think that's going to continue just when people realize how much more convenient it is, because, you know, this thing happened. We've had, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole or anything, but we've had other things come up in the last few years where, we've been on lockdown for short periods of time or whatever. And as far as viruses go or whatever, we've had some that, bird flu, whatever, that didn't present a problem. But as people are more and more mobile, I think we can probably expect this to happen again.
Yes.
So, if there's something we can put in place now that's more convenient, that, next time having those things in place, should something like this happen again in a year or 5 years, whatever, you ought to be set up to take care of it.
That's right. That's right. And think about it, William, everybody's at home right now, which
Mm-hmm.
means everybody's on their phone,
Right.
which means everybody's on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or YouTube, and they're searching. They're trying to find answers. They're trying to find leaders
Mm-hmm.
that can help them do these things. And I
Right.
think us as entrepreneurs, that is our responsibility
Right.
to say, you know what, let me be a leader. Number one, let me be helpful and resourceful. And that's something that we're doing, even with all of our leads. We're touching them and we're just simply doing a wellness check. We're not selling anybody. We're not asking anybody, are you looking to sell your house today? We're simply calling and saying, hey, this is Lolita, from Hearthstone Buys Houses. Just wanted to see how you and your family are doing. And if you need anything and if we can help. That's it.
Yep.
And doing those things, I know that it will, because it has, it'll come back and really help us to get a lot of business and people that are comfortable working with us.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's, it's a people business, and part of all that is developing relationships and that sort of thing. And, people that are successful know that. So,
Yes.
it's, I mean, I tell my students all the time, you first approach people with a heart to help in any way that you can. And if you do that, instead of being focused on what's in it for me, you're going to be a lot more successful, if you just care about people.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get it. That's it.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, listen, tell me about your leads. Now, what would you say are your best sources for leads? Now, my general question to investors that I talk to is, I just put it this way. I say, if your life depended on generating quality leads within the next 24 hours, what would you do right now to make that happen?
Well, it just depends on two factors. If you have a marketing budget, then I would get a list of leads, and there's a variety of different sources that you can get a list of leads, list source. There's a number of them. I can't think of any of them additional right now, but I would get a list of leads that are specific to certain criteria, and that criteria could be houses that were built between a certain time frame, let's say 1960 up to year 2000, and 322, and certain square footage, nothing less than 900 square feet up to maybe 2,500 square feet. And I would skip trace them. I would call them, cold call, and I would also text. That's one thing I would do. If you have, a certain marketing budget. A lot of people say direct mail. I think here in the DFW area, it's super competitive. So you need to get on the phone. You need to talk to people. What's the quickest way to talk, to connect with people? Their phone, mobile phone, text message. So that's what I would do. Now, in the event that you don't have a marketing budget, then I would jump online. I would jump into Facebook or LinkedIn, and I would find and search every active real estate investing group and connect and partner with other wholesalers to see if they have deals and co-wholesale with them. Whatever deals they have, I would get permission from them to market their properties. I would market them on Marketplace on Facebook. I'd market them on Craigslist is still pretty good. Also, I'd jump on Zillow and I would call all sellers that are on Zillow and see if I could help them. And I'm just thinking, because if my life depended on it, like right now, could I get out and drive? Yeah, in certain areas you can't. But let's say that you can. I would drive for dollars in my local neighborhoods. But if you can't, these are things that you can do at home while you have internet access, while you're not on your mobile phone. So those are some things that I would do.
That's something I tell my students all the time. Cold call, man. We
Yes.
generate a quarter to a third of our business just from cold calling.
Yep.
And it's free.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, you certainly you can buy a list and that sort of thing, and you can skip trace. It's not that expensive to do that.
Right.
But you talk about FSBO websites, FSBO.com, Zillow, Craigslist, whatever. That stuff's free. You can jump on there and start calling and texting and find deals.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that with zero marketing dollars.
Zero marketing dollars. That's right.
Right.
It's just it falls in line to how bad you want it, how much time you're gonna put into it, and if you're gonna go ahead and take massive action.
Right. And I mean, absolutely, you're going to run into a rude person on some of those websites.
Right.
But you know what? It's not like you're in their face. You're on the phone. And this is what I tell them: always be nice, because what I think Ron LeGrand was the one that said all sellers' attitudes change with time and circumstance.
That's right.
So the person that cusses you out today may well be the one that calls you a month from now and says, "Are you still interested in my house?" I've had it happen.
Exactly. No, and I have too, and especially now. So now is the time not to be fearful of getting on the phone. Now is the time not to be fearful to get in front of the camera and be on video. And I know, Will, that may not be your favorite thing to do, but for those that, like you said earlier, that are hungry and that need to get a deal, you have to do these things now in order to, put yourself in a position to go ahead and get those opportunities.
Right. You get that seller on the phone that wants to be rude to you. You got Mr. Seller. I can see we're not going to be able to work together right now, but I want to wish you the best of luck selling your house. You got my number on your caller ID. If you change your mind, please give me a call. We'd love to talk to you about buying your house. And click. You're done.
You're done.
Dial the next one.
That's it.
Who may say, "I am so glad you called today. I don't know what we were going to do."
Yes.
You just never know what's going to happen there. So
you never know.
Yep. Do you? And I know that you're really into technology. Now, me, I'm lucky. I'm on a computer. I'm pretty slow with that stuff. I do most of my stuff with a phone and a yellow pad. I get laughed at all the time for that.
But if it works for you, that's what I'm saying. Don't touch it. It works for you.
That's exactly what I say. If your system works for you, you do you.
That's it.
But I know that you're a techie person and you use a lot of tools. Tell us about your favorite tools that help you in your business.
Sure. Well, for a CRM system, which pretty much, it pretty much just helps us stay organized, in our business with leads, follow up, and assigning leads out to, our team is Podio. So Podio.com.
Gosh, just the word Podio gives me a headache.
You're so crazy. But yeah, it's Podio.com. And as far as websites, man, we've spent thousands on websites over the years. But for the last 5 years, we've been consistently happy with InvestorCarrot. InvestorCarrot websites we use. And also just my iPhone, my smartphone. I love it because, there's so many things that you can do on your iPhone as far as FaceTime calls, and pretty much everybody has a smartphone these days. and you can do video walkthroughs with your clients. You can, you can send them, documents and just do different things with apps, different apps. And one of the apps that I like, or several apps, is HelloSign. We use HelloSign, electronic document service, and they have an app. Also Google Drive, and Google Drive, of course, has an app that you can download and use to, store your documents, or, just anything. StreamYard is a service where I do interviews, video interviews with guests for my podcast, as well as trainings. If I want to put quick how-to videos up for sellers or buyers or any of our clients or students, you can use it. I use Camtasia, which is a service that you can edit videos and do different things with. Splice, Splice, is an app that we use to do quick little video edits that you can add music to, and different type of cool transitions and all this kind of stuff for that. So there's a lot of, there's other different little apps and things that we use, but those are just a few that we use in our real estate business. So, yeah.
You actually, because I know you have a few different Facebook pages and groups and that sort of thing. Don't you have a group where you talk about how to use these tools to brand you and do that sort of thing?
Absolutely.
For social media?
Yes. And you're right. We do have a number of different groups, and I'll share why here shortly if you like for me to.
Absolutely.
But the group that you just asked about specifically, that talks about how to brand yourself, your business, how to stand out, and create an online presence where you can actually work virtually, is the Virtual Entrepreneurs Mastermind. So Virtual Entrepreneurs Mastermind group. You can go there, follow Carla and I. We have started sharing a few tips, and we're going to have guests. So we're going to have weekly meetings. They're Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we talk and share different tips on how you can make the adjustments now for your business. If you're not set up to be able to work from home or virtually, we show you how you can do that, and what you can use, the tools that you can use to do that.
Now, is that a private training group, or is it an open group, or how does that work?
Right now, it's closed, but if you go there, we'll go ahead and invite you in. Right now, it's free. We will be charging at a little later date because we want to grow it, and we want to help people that need the help now. So yeah, and I can provide a link, or you can provide a link, William, if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll do that in the show notes, so you can get some folks over there.
Okay, thanks.
And they can learn from you. Like I said, you start talking about Podio and all that stuff, man.
I just, stuff other than Podio, CRM.
My eyes just roll back into my head, and because everybody talked about Podio a year or two ago, and let me check this out, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Where's my yellow pads? Anyway. But I know there are a lot of people out there that love technology and that sort of thing, and I know you can teach them, like I know you use it. So yeah, we'll definitely get a link for that in the show notes, and you guys need to check it out. Okay, that's great information, Lo. We're going to take a quick break and play a commercial or two. I know you guys love it. And when we come back, Lo is going to tell us all about her criteria when she evaluates a sub-2 deal and what makes her decide whether she wants to play or pass. So you guys hang around, and we'll be back in just a minute.
The Sub-2 Deals Show with your host, Sub-2 expert William Tingle. We'll be right back. Hey Sub-2ers, have you been trying to learn how to invest in real estate? It can take you years to learn the ropes on your own. How many people do you know who have been looking into real estate investing for years, but but have never bought a single house? Do you have shelves full of courses but lack the courage to get out there and close on that first deal? Are you tired of so-called coaches who always seem to have just one more thing to sell you that you absolutely must have to be successful? Are you tired of trying to piece it all together with YouTube videos and free forms found on the internet? Is that really any way to build a business? William Tingle has been coaching real estate investors all over the country for over 16 years. And if you are ready, he can show you how to buy all the houses you want, anywhere you want, without ever having to ask a banker for one thin dime. Contact William today at sub2deals.com and schedule your free 30-minute strategy session. Talk it over, and if you think you're finally ready for success, he'll get you going. Back to the show, the Sub2 Deals Show, with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle.
Hey, Sub2ers, we are back with Lolita Sheriow. Lolita is an investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She's been a full-time investor for 13 years. She's been sharing all kinds of information with us on the tools that she uses in her business and just all the things that she does. That's made her a successful investor now for 13 years. When we left, she was just about to tell us about her criteria that she uses when she evaluates a deal that comes along, especially sub-twos, and whether what helps her decide whether or not it's even a deal that she wants to pursue. I know deal structure is a big thing, especially for newer investors. How do I know if something's a good deal? How do I even know if it's something that I want to take on? How do I know if I take this, am I just going to be taking on someone else's problem? So, Lo, if you would, tell us what you look for in a potential deal, or most specifically a sub-2 deal, and what makes you decide if it's something worth taking on.
Sure. Well, as far as a sub-2 deal, as far as year built, it can't be over about 10 to 12 years, as far as, when the house was built. Minimum cash flow, we look at that as well. We need to be able to cash flow at least $300 a month after everything's been paid. So we look at that. And as far as the equity spread, it can have, as little as maybe about 10% equity. We're okay with that. We'll take it. But the main thing is the condition of the property, and the minimum cash flow. So and area, obviously. So those would be the main factors. And I learned that from you. So I learned to get smarter about my sub-2 criteria from you, William, and I appreciate you.
Well, it's
training.
When I got started, and first of all, thanks for saying that. I appreciate you. Too kind. But I used to buy houses that were in bad shape, that, just the whole bit. And what you find is over time, you start doing a bunch of that. You're paying a lot in fix up, and sure, you can bring in a private investor, but it just gets more complicated, and it's just easier to go ahead and buy a house in a decent area that's in great condition, where you can just come in and take over the payments. It's just so much simpler.
Yep, you're right. And I've what we've been burnt on some, bad sub-2 deals in the past for that very reason. It was just way too many repairs, shouldn't have took it on. Didn't really get a solid buyer in there. Didn't do the best at, doing the background and all that. And it bit us. So just, learning from bad deals will help you learn how to do better and smarter deals. So,
and everybody wants a newer home. I mean, the majority of your buyers do. The fact that the home's only 10, 12 years old gives them a lot more confidence that, things aren't going to be breaking, and sure, it'll still happen from time to time, but when you're asking for a considerable down payment, a house is relatively new, it just makes things a lot easier to move them.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
I go along with that too. As far as the equity situation, again, totally agree with you on that. You can pay practically full price for a house and still make money with the spread in the interest rates. You're buying at 2.5%, 3%. You're
Mm-hmm.
selling at 6%, 7%, and people stay in the house for a few years, and you're gonna build some equity there, for your back end payment. Because when you're able to get that kind of spread in the loan or in the financing, every month your buyer may pay $50 toward their principal, and you're paying 200 or more. That's just like a buyer putting $150 a month in the bank for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I'm all for my buyers, uh, you know, setting up a retirement account for me. I think it's great.
Yes,
So
it
that's what we
is.
try to do. So absolutely, on that. Well, can you give our listeners an example maybe of a deal that you're working on right now?
Yes. Oh my goodness. When I saw this question, I was like, I got the perfect deal. So this is a deal, a virtual deal. It's wholesale deal that we're working. The property is in Gladewater, Texas. That's about 4 hours east of us. And we got this lead. I'll just kind of give you guys a full picture of how we got the lead and everything. We got this lead from doing a text blast. And the seller responded. They were interested in selling. So both the sellers, brother and sister, one's in their early 80s, the other one's in the mid 70s. And this home was their mother's home. So long story short, I've had a few conversations with them. We finally negotiated a price. Needed to get in to see the property. So I made a few calls there locally to see if we can partner and have someone, show the house for us. And we found someone that showed the house for us. We did some marketing for buyers, obviously before. And we went to Facebook Marketplace, put the property out after we got it contracted, and found a buyer. Buyer went over to look at the property. He said he'll take it. So got the assignment to him. He got the earnest wired to the title company. And so it's currently right now in escrow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all remote, virtually remote. So I get a call last week that the seller is in the hospital and he possibly has the coronavirus. So he's in his mid 70s. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Jesus. Number one, I hope and pray that he survives, that he's
Right.
okay. And
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know, to date, I got an update a couple of days ago. He's doing good, but obviously we're kind of on hold until
Right.
he gets better and gets home. But that's what's going on with the house. So, and I think where we have it as far as the assignment fee, it's about $9,500. It's a
Oh yeah.
$9,500 deal.
Well, that's not too bad. I
No,
mean,
no,
a virtual deal, you will have maybe a few hours in, and you make almost $10,000.
exactly. And this is again, this is a virtual remote deal. So we didn't leave the house to contract it or anything or find the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's great. I tell you, my grandfather would say, "Man, that's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, right there." You know,
love it.
you you said something in here. Well, you got this from a text blast that you do. And I got to tell you, again, we're talking about more modern methods as opposed to old school stuff. I've always been really resistant to the text blast. I felt like that might tick a lot of people off. Are you having a lot of success with that?
We are. And we partnered with a company that has done their homework and research to make sure that things are done and in compliance with all laws and all that good stuff. So for anybody that may hit me up on any kind of legal question, I'm not your chick for that. Consult with an attorney that knows more about this. But we have not had anyone to, well, I'll say this. We have had people to say, no, not interested in selling, delete us, remove us. but we
Mhm.
haven't had anybody to come across say, I'm going to sue you because you're getting me this text, sending me these text messages, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So, it's a few factors that play into that. I think it's the messaging that you send, obviously, to people, and also respecting people that want to be removed. So
Mhm.
I know some investors out there that will just continue to blast people, even though they tell you to remove them, they don't. But that's something that we don't do. But to me, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, it's
Mhm.
95% of people check their messages within 5 minutes of receiving a text message. So
Right.
to me, if I want to get in touch with a seller, call them and or text them.
Mhm.
So we've had some good success with our text messaging.
Something else I found interesting about this particular deal you just shared with us. Again, you said it was from a text blast, and the sellers are in their 70s.
Yes.
You usually associate texting with younger people, but
Mhm.
obviously, uh, everyone, I guess, texts now.
Yes. My grandfather texts. He's got the iPhone 10 and he's 82. And he's the type of guy, he's still pretty sharp, and I'm always sending him, I recorded a video on my phone of how he can do a group call with his siblings because he still has two brothers and two sisters that are still alive. And obviously they can't see each other right now because of this quarantine time. But I sent him a text and showed him how he can do a group video call with his phone. And he told me thank you, and he was able to do it. So yeah, they're out there. Now, granted, this particular seller of this deal that we're talking about, he doesn't have email. So he's got a smartphone, but he didn't have email. And we had to mail him the contract. We sent it priority mail to him.
Mhm.
And what we did was simply prepaid for another, priority for him to send the contract back to us. So these are things that, you guys listening, these are things that you are going to have to start doing now more so, since people are in and people are, sellers may not want you to come over to the house, or, may not have these certain things in place. So you have to have these things in place so you can do business.
Right. I mean, it's like we talked earlier. I can see where what we're going through right now is going to change some things. Some people are going to be more sensitive to just having strangers over to their house because of what ifs and all of those sorts of things. So, learning this technology, some of it, I'm still going to be resistant to some, okay. But learning some of it now is going to help you going forward in the future. If not because of people's suspicions or their apprehension about things, just the simplicity and the ease in doing things in just a little bit different way, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more effective.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's the deal that you got working right now. I want you to think back a little bit, maybe to your most unusual deal. Now, this is always my favorite question. I mean, I've heard from people who had bought houses where there were contract killers involved and all sorts of things. I mean, this is great. But tell us about the one that had the most difficult circumstances, had the most moving parts, the most difficult to put together, that fell through 100 times, whatever the case may be. Tell us about the most unusual one that you've worked on to date.
Oh, to date. Well, for memory for current deals, uh, we had a deal where I worked directly with the seller. Seller had 7 other siblings. Everybody was on board on the price. They had to sign off. All the siblings had to sign off on this deal, okay, or agree to sell. So we had everyone to agree. Um, which took some time for the title company to work with them and all this kind of stuff. And after about a few weeks, we had one of the siblings that wanted more money. So we did, a conference call, to talk with her and just to kind of see, how we could, work the deal out. And her siblings were trying to get her to just go ahead and agree on the price we had so we can get it closed. Because it was just so much time that had been put into it with the title company, especially getting all the other siblings on board to get the deal closed. Well, after about a month, the sibling agreed. So, all right, good. Everybody's back on board. Then we had another sibling that just disappeared. And title company called me, got a problem. Okay, what's the problem? Sibling six, we can't get her on the phone. You know, there's another piece of documentation that they needed. We can't get her on the phone. So I talked to the main seller, the main sister, and she said that this particular sibling had been an issue, you know, or had an issue with the family since their dad died. It was their dad's home. They were selling. The house had been vacant for about 10 years, and it's just been sitting there. So this sibling she just kind of disappears. So after about 2 months, they get into her attorney calls the title company. Now, granted, the buyer that we have for this deal has been waiting all this time.
Right.
So long story short, the attorney calls and says that she's going to have to review all the paperwork for the seller, for her, client. And once she reviews it, then we can close on it. Okay. So it takes another month of following up with the attorney to see what's going on, because we're 3 months in and it's just been hold up after hold up. Long story short, the attorney stopped calling and no one can get in touch with the sibling. And this was like 6 months ago. So the file is still open. The buyer still wants this house, even though he'll probably want it a lot lower now because of all the changes. But that's probably been the craziest deal I've dealt with in a while. So we're 6 months in, and because of 2 siblings, we can't get it closed.
Right. Well, and I've dealt with some deals in the past that were similar to this, and I mean, they've just vanished off the face of the earth. These two have, or the one in particular, where no one can find them, not even their other siblings.
Yep.
Or okay, and and something like that's generally going to involve a court action.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. These deals, I love them. Because they can be some of the most profitable simply because nobody else can get it done. The other siblings in the action get anxious. They want to just be done with it. They will negotiate more in their price when you approach them and say, listen, we can't find Sue. The only way we can do this is through a court action. Yes, we can take care of it, but that's going to mean your portion is smaller. And they'll negotiate in that if you'll just take care of the problem. Otherwise, they continue to have liability for taxes, insurance, maintenance, just liability on the property, especially if it's vacant, if something happens. But you can still make a ton of money on these things, and they're super interesting to work on.
Absolutely. And you're right. And I brought up, because I was talking to the escrow officer about this deal, and she said, yeah, they probably need to get an attorney. And I talked to the seller about that. And of course, after talking to her siblings, no one wants to pay the attorney. And I told her, I said, if you guys can't get on the same page, you're going to lose this. You're going to either lose the house, or you're going to make significantly less than what we're able to pay you now, because things are changing in the market.
Right.
So, but you're right. They're going to have to go to court.
Is there a mortgage on this property?
No, not at all.
No mortgage.
No
Okay.
mortgage.
I'm just thinking of all the different angles you can go with on something like this. Yeah, but the thing about this, especially when you run into this for the first time, and it's what I learned. If you see it through, you learn so much.
Yes.
And then you can start targeting deals like this that have situations going on. And like I said, I can guarantee you, even in your market, it would be the top 1% of investors in your market that would even know where to begin with something like this. And
Absolutely.
then that opens up a whole new way of investing for you when you start approaching people with problem properties. And we're not just talking about people in foreclosure. We're talking about people that, in fact, I did a little twist on that with marketing several years ago. There's a well-known, I won't name them here, but there's a well-known investor sort of franchise that markets that they buy ugly houses. And my approach was I buy houses with ugly titles.
I like that.
And so you got a situation where there are certain people that are on title that can't be located, or people that have died and probate was never done, and just all kinds of things. But it opens up a whole new door for you in properties that you can go after that really present an opportunity to have fun, which, like I said, the moving parts thing is really fun for me. And the just the money you can make in dealing with something that other people, it's just like having a specialty, just like doctors. The specialists don't do as many deals, but they make a lot more money on the deals they do.
That's it.
Well, tell us, how did you learn to do what you do? I mean, you cover a lot of different things, but everybody had to get started. Nobody was born knowing how to do this stuff. So how did you learn to do what you do every day?
Well, again, when I was working at Countrywide, I started just, spending a lot of hours online researching. One of my coworkers had already owned several rental properties. And before I started working with Countrywide, I worked with, I did some work with my mentor, and he had already planted that seed there. And a lot of it was just on me in the beginning. I didn't have a lot of money to spend on, dropping 20 or 30,000 for personal mentorship with anyone, at that time. So a lot I started on my own, and I found other investors that were doing creative real estate investing. And I came across you, with your subject to, and dug into, I think it was one website, I think you still have it. Man, you just shared a ton of resources and information about subject to investing. And I learned a lot there. And just from partnering with other local investors and learning and growing, I just kept at it, and I kept taking massive action. And as I continued to get results, I was like, oh, this is cool. Then I just kind of started to scale it. And 13 years later, I'm still here. I'm still afloat and surviving and swimming.
Well, you really nailed that there. It doesn't matter who you learn from, as long as it's a reputable teacher and trainer with a good reputation and a history of helping people. It doesn't matter who you learn from. The key is taking massive action.
That's it.
That is the key. It doesn't matter what you know, and there are plenty of people out there on Facebook and everywhere else that can tell you how to do a deal backwards, forwards, upside down, right side up, but they don't get out and do anything, either because of their fear or whatever it may be. They know how to do it, they just don't do anything. And as a trainer and a teacher, I take a lot of training on other stuff myself. And one of the numbers that we've always heard as trainers is that 97% of the people who buy training, purchase training, pay for mentorship, buy courses will never, ever buy a house because they just won't get out there and take the action.
You're exactly right.
That's an astounding number.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, it's really a shame. And I'll tell you, I've probably bought over the 20 plus years I've been investing, and this is no joke, I've probably bought half a dozen houses and actually found unopened, I'm talking maybe the first volume was opened, but everything else still in cellophane, at least a half a dozen Carlton Sheets courses in these houses. You know, I mean,
Wow.
and that seems like a lot, half a dozen
Yeah.
houses. I mean, I've bought hundreds of houses, but half a dozen times, 6 times or more to find, they had the keys to the kingdom.
Yes, they did. That is crazy.
I mean, I got started with a Carlton Sheets course.
So did
You know
I.
what I mean?
I did too, man. Yes. I know exactly what you're
It's
talking about.
it's amazing. It really is. But
It is.
so if you guys take nothing else away from this conversation you've listened to with Lo and I, uh, just take away that you need to learn, of course. You need to know how to do these things, but you have to do something with the knowledge. It isn't, you can't open up a real estate course and throw it in the microwave and expect, deals to come out. It's not instant like that. You're going to have to put some effort into that stuff. You're going to have to talk to sellers. You're going to have to go look at some houses, whether that's virtually or physically. I mean, you're going to have to take some action. So
That's
just,
it.
yeah, take that away if nothing else. Okay, well, Lo, you shared a ton of information with us, and I certainly appreciate you being here today. But leave us with this thought. If you could give new investors wanting to get started any advice, what would it be?
One, it would be to work on your mindset. Start there. There's a certain mindset that you have to have to be not only an entrepreneur, but a successful entrepreneur. You cannot think like a 9 to 5 person. You can't. So start listening to different podcasts, such as this one. Continue to listen to it. And others, mine, other entrepreneurs that share and talk about, how to um, shape your mindset for success and the things that you have to do in order to have that success. And two is definitely find a mentor, find a good mentor and or a mastermind group that you can plug into and start working with them and learning and having that accountability in place. I think with these two things and taking massive action, you're bound to have success.
So massive action is the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's some people that'll get out there, and I really admire those people. In a sense, I've had people call me or text me or message me on Facebook and say, "Hey, I had one guy do this. His name's Austin. He posts in our Sub2 forum a lot. Now he's bought several houses since. He actually sent me a message on Messenger one day and says, "William, I need your help." He said, "I got on the phone and started calling people. I'm on my way to a seller meeting, and I don't have any idea what to say."
Wow.
But and I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, "Guy, you should have been a little more prepared." And on the other, you have to admire somebody that just says, "I don't really have anything right now. I don't really have any material, but I'm just going to get on here and get on the phone, I guess, and see if this worked." And somebody said, "Please come look at my house. I really need to sell it right now." And he said, "How can you help me?" And so, I worked with him and we sent him a contract and told him what to do and sent it where he could, download it somewhere and get it. And the guy bought the house. It was
That's
amazing.
great. Yeah.
I mean, you talk about somebody taking action. So
I
I
love
think,
it.
he's even buying remotely now. And this was like 6 months ago.
That's
So
great.
that sort of thing's great. It is great.
Yes.
So tell us, you mentioned some things in here, and I want to make sure that the listeners can access this stuff. So tell us about, first of all, your podcast. Tell us about it, where they can find it, where they can listen to it.
Sure. You can go, it's called the Take Action with Low Show. And you can find it on uh, iTunes. You can find it on Google Play, Stitcher. So some of the other major um, distribution channels for podcasts. Also, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is watch.takeactionlow.com. So watch.takeactionlow.com, you can go there. If you're interested in connecting with Carla, if you need just an awesome realtor, an investor-friendly realtor, which is important in the
Oh,
Dallas-Fort Worth
absolutely
area.
it is.
In the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if you're in other markets, that's fine as well. You can follow her at facebook.com/Carla the Realtor. Carla's with a C. So, yeah.
Okay. And if you would tell us again about your Facebook Mastermind for Remote, I believe is what it was called.
Sure, absolutely. So if you want to join our group, it is a closed group right now, but go there. We'll let you in. It's free. It's Virtual Entrepreneurs Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So Virtual Entrepreneurs Mastermind Group, actually, is if you type it in, and it'll come up. Yep, and we'll get you in.
Okay, and I can tell you guys for a fact, like I said, I've known Lo for a really long time. She shares a lot of information. It's great information. She's very helpful. You reach out to her, and she'll help you with what you need to be successful in this business. Lo, again, I certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I know everybody out there that's listening is going to appreciate it, and hopefully they'll come over and listen to your podcast. I know you do a great job there. You've actually interviewed me there. We had a great time.
Yes.
And Carla, an investor-friendly agent, that is the key. Most agents will not be open to what you're talking about. They'll tell you what you're doing is illegal in a lot of cases. Having an investor-friendly agent is everything today.
It is.
And I'm going to have to come over there myself and check out the mastermind that you're talking about. I don't think I'm familiar with that. I do need to learn some tech stuff, and even though I'm a little reluctant to do some of that stuff. So maybe you can convince me.
Absolutely. Well, great. Come on over. Please.
I
Come on over.
absolutely will. Okay, well, Sub-Tours, that's it for this episode of the Sub-2 Deals Show podcast.
You can find the show notes for this episode along with a complete transcript at sub2podcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe. Please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute, and it helps others discover the show. You can subscribe as well as leave a rating and review by visiting Apple Podcasts and just do a quick search for the Sub-2 Deals Show. It'd also be great if you would consider sharing our podcast with a fellow real estate investor who you think may benefit from it. And finally, if you haven't yet, you can join our absolutely free Facebook Subject To group at sub2forum.com. You can also get lots more resources to help you grow your real estate investing business at sub2deals.com. So until our next show, keep learning, keep talking to sellers, and you will buy some houses.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Sub-2 Deals Show with William Tingle. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit sub2deals.com, on Facebook at Sub2 Deals. We'll catch you next time.